Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Many strides, one dream, many heartbeats, one pulse. Sagicor, celebrating Jamaican success. The time by Sagicor is
7 o'clock. CVM News at 7 headlines Tuesday, courtesy of Heart NSTA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, fatal shooting of teenage boy sparks protests in New Haven. JLP MP resigns with immediate effect, and community mourns 10-year-old boy killed in crash. Also this evening, Kendal train crash remembered 67 years later. In the business report, the real estate posture of Barita Investments. And in sports, Nicholas Pooran breaks Chris Gale's record in T20 cricket. From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. I'm Stephen McHugh.
And I'm Curlin Brown. It's Tuesday, September 3, 2024. Thanks so much for joining us. We begin with a major developing story. The death of a teenage boy from New Haven in Kingston at the hands of the police has deepened the rift between residents and law enforcement in the space.
Now, residents' claims of police brutality and the innocence of the victim have been countered by reports that the deceased was anything but innocent after he was reportedly relieved of a firearm in the encounter.
Case of 17-year-old Javon Hall. The facts surrounding his death rest somewhere between what residents and the young teens who allegedly sat with his body say and what the police reported of their encounter as the whole truth. One truth being a Kingston teenager is dead at the hands of the police. Residents blocked a section of the Washington Boulevard, decrying the incident early Tuesday morning. Now what follows are the claims of residents and eyewitnesses who are now demanding justice.
The police killed a 17-year-old little boy for him orientation. Kill him for him orientation. Until the 14-year-old and the 16-year-old say, and you ain't talking about kill them too. Him shot, him back the 14-year-old. Tell them to take off them slippers and put in at the Jeep back. Him turn to them and said to them, say, me kill the whole town. Me nah no evidence. The police woman said, no, kill them. Our police from the Reddings division coming to the Kingston 20 division. Come do that. Kill the little boy them and take all them slippers. Little girl clothes over their blood up. Now and the little boy. And their mother dead.
Now, their accounts took a different tone from that of the police, who hours later on Tuesday in a statement maintain Hall, a student of Boulevard Close in Kingston 20, was fatally shot during a confrontation with the police in Corville Gardens at around 4:30 in the morning. Police also reported a Taurus pistol with magazine containing 7 9mm rounds of ammunition was seized during the incident. That sequence of events later on prompted the placard-bearing residents to contend.
For the innocent youth, when they kill him innocently and stuff him body in a car and tell him friend them so them not for talk. And wickedness that. And next week I look at boy birthday. And wickedness that. Police are not wicked. Wanna for serve and protect our own thing now do I take the innocent life them. I could have anyone I will be baby. And wickedness that. Wanna kill the youth cold-bloodedly.
Things grew testy at one point as the police approached the irate civilians, urging them not to return the barricade, while also reminding those gathered Indicom has already launched an investigation to determine the facts. To another major development now on the political scene. The Minister of State in the Ministry of Education and Youth, Marcia Smith, has resigned as Member of Parliament for the constituency of St. Ann North East with immediate effect. Marcia Smith was elected to represent the constituency of St. Ann North East in September 2020. In a release, the Prime Minister thanked her for her service in representational politics, but did not provide any other information surrounding her resignation.
In 2020, Marcia Smith won the constituency of North East St. Anne, continuing the JLP hold on the constituency after the late Shahini Robinson took the seat off the PNP's safe seat list in 2001. Today, coming out of the office of the Prime Minister, an announcement of a premature departure from her role representing her constituents in St. Anne Northeastern in Gordon House. It hasn't been an easy road for the daughter of former JLP stalwart Derek Smith. Shortly into her tenure, residents of the constituency registered their disconnect with the performance of the first-time MP, with JLP supporters demanding the Prime Minister and party leader to remove her from the JLP ticket. After many interventions by the party's hierarchy, the party this year announced Senator Matthew Samuda as the party's new standard-bearer in the constituency, going into an impending general election due in 2025. The Prime Minister thanked Ms. Smith for her service. This is the second shock resignation in the Holness-led administration, following the resignation of Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark. The Holness administration has not given a detailed reason for the resignation. Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
The number of road fatalities continues to concern the traffic police. The latest crash took place in St. Anne Tuesday morning between two motorcars traveling in the same direction, claiming the life of a Trelawney resident.
It was in the early morning hours of Tuesday along the Runaway Bay Main Road in St. Anne that Daniel McFarlane lost his life, trapped behind the wheels of the Mark X motorcar he was driving. Other motorists who drove upon the fiery scene shortly after the 4 o'clock collision either questioned if anyone was inside or concluded immediately no one could have survived. The police reports the Mark X crashed into the rear of the Crown and both drivers lost control, coming to a stop at an embankment. Unfortunately, McFarlane, who was from a Falmouth address in Trelawney, the sole occupant of the Mark X, was unable to escape the fire, which was confined to his vehicle. Even though firefighters observed the frame of the male in the inferno, there was nothing they could do but proceed with efforts to extinguish the blaze. The charred remains were later identified and removed from the burnt-out motorcar, which eventually became visible after the cooling down operation carried out by 2 units from the St. Anne's Bay and the Ocheres fire stations. In the meantime, CVM News understands the driver of the Crown motorcar sustained minor injuries. He, along with 2 other passengers from his motorcar, were taken to hospital for medical examinations. The police remain concerned about the level of carnage on the roads and continue to stress caution. And the heart-wrenching death of 10-year-old Trevon Sanchez has left his loved ones in profound sorrow. CVM News visited his local community for this follow-up. Britannia Witter is our reporter.
Tears and drawings to express their grief as they mourn the passing of their classmate, friend, and student in a tragic car crash on the first day of school. 10-year-old Trevon Sanchez was traveling with his mother, Constable Cabrina Crawford, when a Range Rover veered off course, hitting the Honda Fit motor car she was driving, killing Trevon and leaving his mother hospitalized. His father, Bevon Sanchez, is struggling to cope with the death of his only son.
Everybody love him, the neighbors, the schoolmates, you understand? And we have a very good relationship. We have a good relationship with everybody. You understand? Somebody that is going to be very well missed. Right now, I'm just holding it together in the best way for just keep my family and the families that may surround the situation together. You understand? It's very hard to see, a Monday morning when everybody have them child to go out and you look forward to hear all the good stuff and all the stuff that will happen after school. You're looking forward for that this evening, and it just never happened.
Trayvon was a beloved student at the Christiana Primary and Infant School, where he was known for his jovial spirit. His teachers described him as a joy to have in the classroom.
Trayvon was my heart. He was the person when I got in the class with my clown self, he was the one to just lead everybody on. He was one to always challenge something. He always had something to say as a rebuttal. He always questioned stuff and he wasn't afraid to ask anything. He was very confident. But for me, it was just the vibes. I'm the vibes and he was just my little vibes. He's a sweet kid.
Representatives from the Ministry of Education visited the school to provide counseling for the students and teachers.
The region stands resolute to supporting the institution all the times, and now, in particular, that our student has passed. Our regional director, Mrs. Susan Nelson-Smith, she was here yesterday as well with a team of us from the Ministry of Education. Today we are here again with the educational social worker, and we will be providing psychosocial sessions for our students, grief counseling for our teachers, so we continue to give support as our school, our principal, our quality education circle goes through this process of grieving.
His mother is currently hospitalized at the Percy Junior Hospital and in need of blood donations. The Police Federation is appealing to persons to donate blood at the National Blood Bank or any blood receivable location island-wide and to take the receipts to the Percy Junior Hospital or any blood receivable location. If you do decide to donate, submit her name, Cabrina Crawford, at the Percy Junior Hospital in Manchester. Meanwhile, the driver of the Range Rover who initially fled the scene has since turned himself in. His identity is, however, being withheld pending further investigations. Britannia Witter, CVM News.
And we have more to come here on CVM News at 7 right after this.
CVM News at 7 headlines Tuesday, courtesy of Heart NSTA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Crunchy Box for only $8.50. Crunch your craving with the new KFC Crunchy Box. A piece of delicious chicken, 2 hot wings, biscuit, and Pepsi for only $850. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Our days get a little complex sometimes. Often so many things make sense, yet so many do not. We are being intentional about giving prominence to the big stories in order to clarify and enlighten. Lead Story explains who, what, when, where, why, and how. Lead Story with George Davis, weekdays at 6:30 p.m. on CVM TV.
Hey my peeps, get this on the regular. Your HIV status if you consider. The least you ever test once a year. Just 15 minutes and your status clear. Cause it might not show up on your timeline and you learn too late, so you're out of time. A progressive future, mandatory. Really long life, our story. You hear?
Remember, update your status in a real life. Go HIV test today.
Just 15 minutes and your status clear. Really long life, our story. Real long life was a youth coming from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Crunchy Box for only $8.50. Crunch your craving with the new KFC Crunchy Box. A piece of delicious chicken, 2 hot wings, biscuit, and Pepsi for only $850. KFC, it's finger licking good.
CVM News at 7 Tuesday, brought to you by KFC.
Crunch your craving with the new KFC Crunchy Box for only $850. KFC.
Welcome back to CVM News at 7. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says plans are in place to pay keen attention to preventing violence in schools for the new academic year. Britannia Witter has more on this report.
In recent years, the island has seen numerous acts of violence in schools, with stakeholders linking the incidents to several factors. Given the antecedents, the Ministry of National Security says extra steps are being taken to strengthen security measures to protect students and teachers.
We're in fact training an additional 150 school resource officers. And as police officers, they do get extra training in dispute resolution, social, the amount of social activities available that we can direct parents to, and the general management of conflict and assisting diagnostic skills, so to speak, to get us identify emotional issues and get the right people to meet with these kids while providing a level of security in the school. So we are expanding that program, working closely with the ministry to ensure we can have increased activity in the schools to reduce any kind of potential gang violence. There are no more schools that are identified. There are a couple in Montego Bay, I won't name them, but we are working on all of them to reduce any threat risk to the students and to the teachers.
Stressing the importance of social intervention to prevent gangs from recruiting students, Minister Chang says the issues students face must first be identified.
Social intervention must be part of it. As I said, what we did this evening in reaching out to kids who did not perform very well at the PEP level is to begin to identify young members of young individuals from families that have serious social challenges. And if we resolve them, we'll have less recruitment to the gangs.
With more than 50 critical incident reports, mostly related to violence in schools, reported to the Ministry of Education between January 2022 and January 2023, Minister Chang says the goal is to provide students with alternatives to positively channel their energy. Britannia Whittle, CVM News.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education is continuing efforts to abolish the shift system in schools across the island. In an address in St. Anne, the minister announced 11 out of 38 schools are now operating on a single schedule. Courtney Lewis continues.
More than half of Jamaica's schools reopened on Monday. The announcement came amid concerns about schools' readiness after over 300 schools across the island sustained damage from Hurricane Beryl. Education Minister Favour Williams says the ministry has pulled out all the stops to ensure the safe resumption of activities.
And we got to work, and I can tell you so far, we are expecting that when the report is tallied later today, all schools would have started in some shape or form, whether it be by staggering the week, 96%, 953 schools started. Full resumption today.
But Williams says administrators may opt to delay based on various circumstances.
As you know, high schools come in on a staggered basis. So by the end of the week, beginning of next week, all students in high schools will be fully in. Or primary schools do it a little bit differently, but because of Hurricane Beryl, a few of them had to stagger it as well.
Meanwhile, Minister Williams claims success in the ministry's efforts to abolish the shift system since her time in office, noting Oteria's primary school will operate on a single schedule.
This year, Oteria's primary school will be joined by Noggerhead Primary, Bridgeport High, and Papine High in the transition off of the shift system. Achieving these 4 schools will mean that by the end of this year, we will have only 27 schools left to de-shift.
She maintains the shift system, though beneficial, came with challenges which she hopes will change.
We're giving our students more time, more opportunities, and a school day that supports both their academic success and their overall well-being. This change is a testament to the Ministry of Education and Youth's dedication to providing every Jamaican child with the best possible education. with 1,009 public schools across our island, we've made great strides in phasing out the shift system.
The minister was speaking during a visit to the Ocho Rios Primary School in St. Anne on Monday. Since the beginning of the school year, Minister Williams has visited several schools across the island. Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
The 67th anniversary of the tragic Kendal train crash, one of the darkest days in Jamaica's railway history, has been marked by memorial events held to honor the victims and reflect on the impact of this catastrophic event. Here's a look at the history of that train crash and the impact it continues to have. Raheem White takes us back in time.
So we are at the site now where the train actually came off the track, which is up on the hill. And there's a serpentine corner, one coming left and one coming right, almost like an S. Well, like an S, but pretty sudden.
On September 1st, 1957, a diesel-hauled train left Kingston for Montego Bay with 1,600 passengers on board, far exceeding its safe capacity. Near Kendal, Manchester, the train derailed at high speed, resulting in the death of 200 people and injuring 700 others. This disaster remains Jamaica's deadliest transport accident and one of the worst railway crashes globally at the time. An investigation later revealed that a tampered brake valve was a major cause of the derailment. Survivors suggested that pickpockets had manipulated the brakes while riding on the carriage platform. The disaster highlighted significant deficiencies within the Jamaica Railway Corporation, leading to its reconstructing and eventual independence in 1960.
By the railway, we had to carry rag, hot water, basin, with Antoine, and help who we can help. And then afterward, when we leave down the railway, we go up by where the wreck was. When you run up the wreck, you see people lying down on over the side of the line, on top of one another.
On the anniversary of the disaster, memorial services and community gatherings were held to honor those who lost their lives and those affected by the tragedy. Among those profoundly affected by the crash is Jamaican author Beverly East, who lost 14 family members. Her personal connection to the event has driven her to document the tragedy and its impact through her writing.
So this is very, very personal to me. It might be personal to Babsy Grains, no disrespect. And every time I go somewhere, someone says, I should have been on the train, I was going to go, but this happened. But these people, whose names I've called, were on the train, did not come home that night. We did not bury a body, a single body.
The site of the crash, now marked by a stone monument with the inscription Mile 52, remains a solemn reminder of the event.
Such moments be accorded rituals of memory, such that these moments may never be forgotten, but remain etched in the memory of our country. And whereas such moments by mass suffering and grueling pain may have been recorded in the annals of our history as among the worst of the most heinous of or the most painful of circumstances.
The Kendal train crash remains a significant event in Jamaica's history. As we reflect on this solemn anniversary, we extend our thoughts to those who were affected by the disaster. Raheem White, CVM News.
Stay with us for the business segment right after this.
Motorists, as Minister of Justice, I appeal to you, obey the road code, pay your ticket on time, and only go to court if the ticket is being contested. Close to 80% of matters coming to the parish courts are for traffic breaches. Let's work together to make our roads safe and ease the burden on our courts.
Crunchy Box for only $8.50. Crunch your craving with the new KFC Crunchy Box. A piece of delicious chicken, 2 hot wings, biscuit, and Pepsi for only $850. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
The Quartz Home event is happening now! Great deals on top brands with up to 30% off furniture and up to 20% off appliances and electronics. Get an 8-piece king bedroom bundle for only $129,997, or a 3-piece smart TV combo for $27,999, or a free gift with select appliance purchases. Shop today and pay later. Just choose your terms and make your first payment in 30 days. Don't miss the Quartz Home event. Quartz, bringing value home. Offers end September 30. Conditions apply.
Welcome back. Time for our business report with Joel Crossgill.
Lots to share with you in the business report today. The unaudited financial statements for the third quarter of Burrito Investments Limited were explored during the recent earnings call on the Burrito Beat. And for the 9 months ending June 30, 2024, Burrito reports that net profit after tax increased by 95% to $981 million, bringing year-to-date NPAT to $2.88 billion, just 6% behind 2023. Group Chief Financial Officer Stephen Philibert provided a more detailed snapshot of the results.
Net operating income has decreased marginally, about 5% to $7 billion from just under $7.4 billion in the prior year. And we'll look at the lines that make that up. Net interest income, we're now seeing small improvements in net interest income year over year to $479 million from $423. So what this is reflecting is, as there has been a pause now in the increases in interest rates that we had previously seen from the central bank, our stock of interest-bearing assets is now catching up, as it were, to the impact on our interest expense. And so we're starting to see that improvement even before there is an actual decline in rates.
During his evaluation of the current domestic and international macroeconomic background, Chief Executive Officer of Burrito Investments Limited, Ramon Small-Ferguson, admits that the prospects for growth in the near term do not appear positive in the face of the headwinds presented by Hurricane Beryl, which struck Jamaica in early July.
It's anticipated that these effects, lagged as they are, may result in a decline in our economic stock. In other words, growth will become negative during the next quarter. We do, however, believe that this will be transitory. We think the anchors that will drive longer-term growth are well sustained, and we believe that the picture beyond the next quarter is actually positive.
It's an outlook that the CEO says is informed by a tactical approach that has been taken by the company along strategic vectors of performance.
We have been speaking about our focus on ensuring that the business is very capable to take advantage of opportunities should they arise, right? So how have we been doing that? We've been positioning the business to be able to execute on market neutral investment strategies, right? So in other words, if the market were to go left, right, or up or down, we want to have a business that is well endowed to step in and take advantage of any opportunities that may present themselves. The key tenets to that strategy are our lower than average leverage and our liquidity and capital adequacy, which is we're well endowed in those two areas.
Of particular interest to the business report is the change in posture of the company as it relates to real estate investment.
We have now moved our real estate strategy squarely away from the acquisition phase, where the vast majority of returns would be garnered from any revaluation gains associated with the properties acquired, into the development phase of the life cycle. The development phase is characterized by putting together necessary partnerships and so on to drive the actual development of these properties. And we're happy to say that that phase is progressing well. One key part of the development phase is putting together a development schedule. Right? Now we have 8 properties in total in the portfolio that are slated for development. And there are a couple of considerations that drive the development schedule. Right? One is obviously market demand and market context. Second is the degree and extent of complexity associated with the project. The third would be the resources available to drive the development, and primary among those resources are ensuring that there is the right partnership in place to bring the development prospect to the appropriate level of tolerable risk. Right? At the end of the day, Burita sees itself with respect to its exposures to real estate as an investor. Right? We aren't a real estate company by any means. We see ourselves as an opportunistic investor. So it's important for us to get the right partners in the process.
And for those of you who may want to get a firmer pulse on what's in store further down the development pipeline schedule following Burita's $1 billion purchase in 2022 of Reggae Beach in St. Mary, you may want to check out the Burita Beats Q&A segment for additional details. I'm Joel Crosskill, and that was your business report.
Crunch your craving with the new KFC Crunchy Box for only $850. KFC, it's finger licking good. The time by KFC is...
Me, I go show them my way of justice.
I'm abused.
I need legal advice. I don't deserve this.
The truth of the matter is, justice there for all of it. The Ministry of Justice has trained more than 5,600 persons in restorative justice practices. More than 200,000 victims have been supported by the victim services. Legal aid has reached thousands island-wide. Make we talk it out, not fight it out. Call 888 Justice today.
We are bucket together when everybody out. Fried chicken with a pre-bucket for the crew. Share a bucket together, everybody go live. Spicy original when we online. Bucket together to the new dance craze. Taste explosion bursting with flame. When we are bucket together, it put you in a good mood. Every moment you share is finger licking good. Bucket together, come make we bucket together.
Papa Jesus, insurance gone up again? Gotta go faster. It gas our insurance.
Driver, let's go.
Do you really want to stick with the same old insurer? For the first time in Jamaica, taxis, minibuses, coasters, whatever you drive, MIBinsure.com will find you an insurer who will slash your premium by up to 60%. They all claim to save you money, but only MIB Insure actually can. Switch to MIBinsure.com today and save serious money.
Welcome back to CVM News at 7. Here's a recap of some of our major stories. The death of a teenage boy from New Haven in Kingston at the hands of the police has deepened the rift between residents and law enforcement in the space. Residents' claim of police brutality and the innocence of the victim have been countered by the police after he was reportedly relieved of a firearm following the encounter. The Minister of State in the Ministry of Education and Youth, Marsha Smith, has resigned as Member of Parliament for the constituency of St. Ann North East with immediate effect. Marsha Smith was elected to represent the constituency of St. Ann North East in September 2020. In a release, Prime Minister Andrew Holness thanked her for her service in representational politics. And the 67th anniversary of the tragic Kendal train crash, one of the darkest days in Jamaica's railway history, has been marked by memorial events held to honor the victims and reflect on the impact of this catastrophic event.
We now take a look at what's trending on social media.
So, what's trending in our local social media spaces? Here comes the rain again. According to the Met Service, a tropical wave is to hit the island on Wednesday. Showers, thunderstorms, and gusty winds are to be expected. There is also a moderate chance of a tropical cyclone developing. Here are some of your reactions. At bad_yardy post, Lord, any pothole that full with water that set against me for mash up my tire, show me them, oh Lord. At Jovandi writes, rain been a fall. At Prophet comments, well, as long as the Wi-Fi go work, you can send. At Lethal Man shares, September and October are the rainiest months, so this is expected. At Celeste adds, full-time summer gone now, man. Time too hot. Kiss